Next to Brazil, where the Supreme Court has ordered Jair Bolsonaro to begin a prison sentence of more than 27 years for plotting a coup attempt after losing presidential elections in 2022. Judges say all appeal avenues have now been exhausted and the former far-right leader's guilty verdict has become final. He has spent more than 100 days under house arrest in a separate case over allegations that he'd asked ally Donald Trump to disrupt proceedings against him, and over the weekend denied that he'd been trying to escape by removing an ankle monitor. Well, for more on all of this, let's bring in France 24's Jan Onoszko. Jan, good to have you with us. Firstly, is this the end of the road for Jair Bolsonaro? It appears that all of his appeals have now finally been exhausted.
Absolutely. According to the Supreme Court, as you say, all his appeals, possible appeals, have now been exhausted. And he finally begins this sentence of 27 years and 3 months in prison for trying to stage a coup d'etat and overthrow democracy here in Brazil after he lost that presidential election to the current president Lula back in 2022. Now, the Supreme Court justice in charge of his case, Alexandre de Moraes, delivered the final judgment after Bolsonaro's team failed to successfully appeal against the sentence. And Moraes also rejected the defense's request for that sentence to be served at home, which they had argued for on the grounds of Bolsonaro's ill health. But as you said, it's not surprising that that request was rejected because of Bolsonaro trying to break open his electronic ankle tag with a soldering iron, and that leading to him being taken into custody over the weekend. He was fitted with that tag, as you say, back in July. That's when the federal police believed that he may be trying to flee the country or to ask for asylum at a foreign country's embassy. The embassy district in Brasilia is just a few miles away from his home. And so all that means that as of now, he is starting this sentence in a 12-meter square prison cell in a police station in Brasilia, and that's where he's going to remain for now.
And Jan, has there been much of a response from his legal team, from his lawyers?
Yes, absolutely. Bolsonaro's defense team have said that they will submit a motion of dissolution, which is allowed in certain cases, but in the case of Bolsonaro, it doesn't actually apply, because for that to have taken place or to be allowed, he would have needed 2 votes to absolve him. He received only 1. So it's unlikely that that motion by his defense team is going to succeed. Are there any other ways that he may be freed? Absolutely. If there's certainly a movement to pass a bill into law granting unrestricted amnesty to all those people involved in the January the 8th riots. Is something that Bolsonaro's Senator son Carlos has been fighting for and talking about after he visited his dad in prison. But that's going to depend a lot on just how much political capital Bolsonaro still has. And at the moment, his political capital is diminishing fast. In fact, polls show that only 36% of voters would be in favor of Bolsonaro being given amnesty. The most likely chance he would have is if one of his political allies wins next year's presidential elections. One of those who's likely to stand is the current governor of Sao Paulo, that's Tarcísio de Freitas. A few months ago, he said that the first thing he would do if he was elected as president would be to pardon Jair Bolsonaro. Recently, he has reiterated his support for him, saying he stands beside him and that he's innocent. But a year is a long time in politics, as we know. And so even though that's a possibility, it's really not a big one.
Jan, thanks so much for all of that. That is France 24's Jan Onoszko.